Good morning. My name's Ray. I'm with Team S.t.e.a.m. This morning I'm here at Flash Industrial Painting because it's business as usual. Here we've got another older Pete. It's been bashed in there. The hood has been hailed. It's been repainted. There's a nice sized dent. There's a nice series of dents, but we're pulling these wings off. So like all these work trucks, I talked to the owner about pulling the wings off. He was definitely game for it. You can see that this one has, I don't know if you can catch it on video, but it's got one of the biggest dents I've ever seen in a sleeper. I'm not even sure what I'm going to do about that. The whole top is pushed in. So that's going to take some thought. And I can't get this out of the way to do anything. And there's giant dents behind it too. So, neato. But right now I'm out here sandblasting it. Get the wheels on this one. Get it all sandblasted down. Get it pulled in the shop. Got rain moving in. So, got to get on it. Get it done. So I got that blasting done yesterday, and now we're here this morning. We're going to go ahead and get going on it. And that's how we cut the fenders off. Now, as you can see, the sleepers on these trucks, especially these older ones, especially these ones that are cowboy trucks, they spend a lot of time on gravel roads. They really can't get any more dented than they are. There's no more room for dents. This is all dents. There's no more straight metal left. None. It's all dents. And this is one of the worst that I've dealt with because something apparently slid off of a trailer and got into the top up here at some point and caved this entire panel in from here up and from this joint to that joint on the other side in the same spot. This middle panel up here at the top has been caved in, been shoved in, an inch or maybe two. And if you look down this edge of the roof cap, you can see it's in quite a ways. And because of that, it's got this wrinkled. It's got a big wrinkle here you can't see anymore because we've been scratching on it. And so it's dull. We scratched all the rivets first, make darn sure they're done before we go on to anything else. And now we're just gonna sand the entire thing because it's all bodywork. I need to do the entire thing. And I mean, look at this dent. That thing is a full ½ inch deep. It takes up, by the time I'm done repairing it, it's going to basically consume the door. And I've been doing this for decades, well over 20 years, and I've never seen this before. I mean, that is a heck of a dent in a very difficult spot. That is going to be no fun. This entire panel on the driver's side, from here down, I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, is all dents down here. I don't know why, but it is all dents down there. And then, of course, the passenger side's completely hailed out. All the way down the side. This hood is hailed out. I don't know if you can see it, but it's got some significant hail damage that you can't see because it's flat paint, at least on the one side. We've got a split in the sleeper right here that happened when whatever it was hit this. This is the part I was talking about a few seconds ago that's caved in. It's shoved in this way about at least an inch. And whatever did that damage also did this damage. So this is busted. And then we have these ever familiar cracks. Big cracks all over in the cap. And now we're getting some sanding going. We're going to sand the entire back first. That way I can get on my body work. All right, now the boys are going to take off for a few days, and they've pretty much got this truck prepped as much as I need it to be. They've got all the spots scratched that are going to pertain to my body work, and got everything masked up. So now it's really going to be up to me. And today is going to be a lot of fun because I'm going to have to crawl inside this sleeper and see if I can't get that bowed in spot pushed out somehow. And in order to straighten out that sleeper, we're going to have to go inside the cab. All right, so I'm back here in the sleeper, and I'll go ahead and take you on a tour if you want to take the 4 seconds to do that. There's part of it. There's the other part. There we go. Now what I'm looking to do is I'm going to take my porta power setup, and I'm going to get it all strung out, and I'm going to put one half of it here, or one side of it here, and the other side right about here. And I'm going to shove this wall that way and hopefully bend the whole brace back out and bend it out to a reasonable amount. And we'll just have to see how that goes. All right, I've got my porta power all set up. You see we got the handle here. This is the the actual cylinder that pushes. Got these all put together. Went with this big piece of rough cut lumber. And on this side, I've got a 2x2. It's about 18 inches long in there to kind of soften the blow. So it'll bend with it some, but it won't try and kink it out. And now I'm just hitting this and pushing that out when I do. And then I have to come out here and I have to tap on this joint right here and the one on the other side in the same spot where these vertical braces line up, because that's where it's bent at. It's bent here and it's bent there on that vertical brace. So I need to push it clear out and then tap on that and tap on that to get that bend straightened out, so the whole thing will come straight when I take the pressure off of it. And now I've taken the jack completely off of it after I beat on that brace and the other one, and it is 95% straight. And even on this side, that thing looks completely straight, 99% straight. So now I can go ahead and get going on some body work. This is where we took the fender off. So this is that lower fender portion, although it's not actually part of the fender. And then you can see, I mean, this is just busted completely off. So what we're gonna have to do about this is I'm going to have to get this die grinder right here with the cutting wheel on it. Cut every one of these rivets that you see here all the way up. Get all these rivets gone, and then I can pull this panel entirely away from this. Since we happen to have the fender off and all the lower ones are already gone. You see this also this is probably a 3 or 4 inch crack, but it is really set in its ways. I got to straighten some metal out here. And here we are the next morning. I fiberglassed this yesterday and just let it sit. And so it's ready to be trimmed up and, you know, have the little burrs removed. I just run some sandpaper over it so nobody catches themselves on anything in the future, because it is like glass. And we'll go ahead and cut that off. You can see 4 cracks in this one, and that's pretty darn typical. That's nothing new or special. They usually crack in at least 4 spots when they get this old and this worn. In my 25 plus years of doing this, I've only had about 4 requests to polish aluminum, because these are work trucks and most of these guys don't care. And I turned them all down. We don't polish aluminum here. It's like expecting the carpenter that showed up and put the deck on your house to also sweep the chimney. You could do that as an owner, or you could hire a monkey to do it. You don't need to hire a professional or expect them to do it. And that's why we don't polish aluminum. And we don't do pinstriping. And I've only had about 4 requests for aluminum, which, as I mentioned, I turned down. But I've had, dozens of requests, especially in the early years, for pinstriping, which I also don't do. Not because I have a problem with it, and I definitely don't look down on it or anything like that. I probably couldn't do it. It's really tough. I'm not quite that smooth-handed with one shot. I think it'd be frustrating and a mess if I tried it. So I've just never gotten into it. But I have had a lot of requests, and we run into this a lot. So to get these off, you can't just sand them off and paint over it. They'll show up. And I can always tell when another truck shop has gotten a hold of one of these, because they just sand over it and paint over it almost every time. I could tell where the pinstriping was. And you can see this has never been painted. This is a factory deal, or shortly after the truck was bought. I'm not really sure. And they did a good job, and it's on there. And as you can see, it's everywhere. It's at the corners of the doors. It's all over the sleeper. I mean, it's everywhere. And so I know for sure it was on the hood, and the hood, just this side of the hood got painted. That's it, just this side. That's all they did. And you can tell, see that old stripe? They just painted over it, and that's what it looks like when you do. And today, and yesterday, and the day before that, and the day before that, and the day before that, this is what the shop temp is from about 1 o'clock on. And right now it's 4. All right, so I've got my priming done, my wet sanding priming done. Couple good thick coats everywhere that it mattered. And now I'm gonna go ahead and set the camera up so I can prime in black, prime in black, prime in black, Prime the hubs in black, everything else in black, tanks in black. And then once that's all done, then I'll come through and I will make the roof cap purple, fenders purple, and chassis black. And then these will be purple. All right, so got this all guide coated and ready. I'm about ready to start sanding all the rest of the wet sanding primer. Boys are about done here, masking up the roof cap, tanks, chassis. You can see they masked up all the chassis. Fenders are gone. So here pretty shortly I'm gonna sand all the rest of this bodywork down and get some white on this today. All right, we're ready. Let's get some primer on this guy. All right, so we got her shot. It's the next morning. We're gonna go ahead here and begin unmasking when the guys get here in a few minutes and get this guy put back together. All right, now we're getting some of the stuff laid out here, like the exhaust on the floor. We're getting some of the things put on it, got the visor on it. Some of these sorts of things, getting ready to put the air cleaners back on. Okay, so on this one, we didn't pull the mirrors because on 379s, I almost never do, because they're riveted on with the hardest rivets known to man, and all those wires run down through the door and then down under the cab, down under the dash, and you have to unplug them there. I mean, it's half a day just messing with the mirrors, so that's why we leave those. We pulled the visor, we almost always do, unless it's painted already and on the truck that way, like some Sterlings and trucks like that. We didn't pull the horns because they didn't want to come. This is a 96, everything's corroded. And if they don't want to come, we don't force them. They'll just break. And then you've got a broken horn to deal with. This did want to come. The very back of the horn came off both, so we pulled them. It's easier than masking them. We never pull cab lights unless somebody's swapping the cab lights. And that's what we pull and what we don't, and it differs per truck. It just depends on what they'll let us take without too much trouble. All right, well, that about does it. We got this one done. Let's take a walk around it and have a look. Tank's nice and shiny. I'm sure he'll be thankful for that. Chassis nice and shiny. The wheels in the same off-white and purple as the truck boasts. Nice and shiny chassis. Completely done inside and out. Wheels. Tanks on this side, and this tank was bashed in on this side. Both of them had dents in them. The other one had 2 dents. This one had 1 big dent. That's all gone. Let's see the back here. The back was an absolute mess. Caved in. Probably 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches. Caved completely in. These were just a wrinkled, absolute mess. There was not 1 square centimeter that didn't have a dent in it. All this was dented, deeply dented in here. There were some big, heavy dents in there. Wings are gone. This was beat all to heck down here. That's all better. This was beat up. That's better. All that hand painting that was done all over this truck, that all needed wet sanded. I don't wet sand, but I put on wet sanding primer and then dry sand. And all those are gone, and they all need attention. Same with the doors, the hand painted doors. Those needed a lot of attention where that doesn't show up in the gloss. Fenders turned out nice. Gave us a hard time mounting them. It's a 96, beat to heck, so the dimensions aren't what they used to be. We got them on though, and sturdy and done right. It just takes a while. You got to be patient. Then we adjusted out the hood so it opens and closes without catching anymore. This whole side was hailed out, completely hailed out. Now there's not a single ding in it. So there you have it. We got another one in the books. Now we'll go ahead and pull in the next disaster. If you like this video, go ahead and like it. And if you haven't subscribed already, you should probably do that because we're doing this sort of stuff all the time. See you guys around.